Hello, everybody. Welcome to this week's episode of The Awesome with Cody. As usual, I'm your host, Cody, and today we are starting a brand new theme for March. I believe I wanted to call it Awesome Dystopian Space Movies or Awesome Space Movies. Basically, it's four movies that take place in space or not on Earth, would be the definition of that. So, if you didn't pay attention to last month, when I told you, or last week's episode, when I told you what this month was going to be, so awesome space movies. Today, we're going to talk about Moon from 2009. I'll go into that more in a minute. Next week, we're going to talk about High Life, starring Robert Pattinson. The week after that will be Ad Astra, starring Brad Pitt. And the last movie will be Prospect, starring Pedro Pascal. But yeah, so tune in the next couple weeks for more space movies. But today, we're focusing on Moon. Moon is one of my favorite science fiction movies. It's less of a action-y movie, more of a thought-provoking movie. It's been a while since I watched it, like a couple years, but I remember it very well. The movie is got a huge cast of technically 7 people, 8 people. Really, it's Sam Rockwell show because, well, he's amazing, and he's the multiple characters in this, and I'll get to that in a minute. And there's a little bit of spoiler in this. There's no way around it, but it's also 11 years old, so take it as you need to. Has Kevin Spacey voicing a character named Gertie. You have Dominique McElligott. I'm not too sure. Who plays Tess Bell. Kaya. That's a last name I'm not going to pronounce very well. C.O.D.Y as Eve Bell, 15-year-old Eve Bell. Benedict Wong as Thompson, Matt Berry as Overmyers, Malcolm Stewart as the technician, it's air quotes, and Robert Chalk as Sam Bell clone Sam Bell. And I'll explain more why that is in a minute. Sam Rockwell plays Sam Bell clone and original Sam voice of. So this movie is based in the near future. There's no date given. If some probably eagle-eyed people might have seen something somewhere on there because there's like counters and stuff, but I don't know if that's true because it's all a lie essentially, and I'll get to that again as I go through this. Before I go on the premise, so this movie was directed and the story was written by Duncan Jones, and I'll get into Duncan Jones in a second here. But the movie itself was written by Nathan Parker, who is the son of Alan Parker, which I'm not too sure if anyone's really going to know who that is. I didn't know who it was. Looking his movies, I mean, there's a few that I know. Biggest one would be Fame and Pink Floyd The Wall, earlier films. Then he had Mississippi Burning, and those are the ones and Road to Wellville I remember, but I don't remember it fucking real well. But anyways, and then Nathan has written a handful of movies that looks like nothing of any note other than Moon that we're talking about today. But anyhow, Duncan Jones. So Duncan Jones is the son of David Bowie and Angie Bowie. Angie Bowie being, of course, his birth mother. And I believe very short stint wife of David Bowie. Duncan has made a handful of movies. He's an amazing auteur. Again, I'll actually be talking about him. Another movie he did, the follow-up to this, well, not follow-up, but the next movie after this one he did next month during my independent sci-fi movies or low-budget sci-fi movies. I'm not too sure how to put that. Anyways, so Duncan's made 5, technically a short film, won't count that. He's made 4 films already. He's got another one coming up sometime ish soon. Not too sure when that'll be. But it's called Rogue Trooper, and it's based on a graphic novel originally from 2000 AD, which is a British comic company, but then later on was later developed into an actual line of continuing stories that were done by IDW, I believe, and a couple other ones too. But yeah, that's Rogue Trooper. More about that, I don't know, sometime soon, I guess. But his other movies are Source Code, which again I'll be talking about next month. Warcraft and Mute, both are underrated movies in my opinion. Warcraft, of course, is the movie based on the video game Warcraft or World of Warcraft. It's technically before World of Warcraft, but whatever. And Mute was a sci-fi movie on Netflix, which I enjoy a lot too. Which I'll talk about someday. And fucked up sci-fi movies month. But yeah, Duncan Jones. He's a young author or auteur. I say young. He's 48 years old. Soon to be 49 years old, I think. No, 48. He's 48. He'll be 48 this year. Anyhow, no, he'll be 49 this year. Yeah, I do math. Anyhow, so that's Duncan Jones. Let's dive into the movie. I'm going to spoil it, so if you haven't seen it, you've had 11 years. If you haven't watched it in that 11 years, I'm sorry. Don't know what to tell you. But anyways, so low budget sci-fi movie, very small cast. Very apropos for the movie because it's doesn't need a lot of budget. I can imagine them using more than that if they had a little more. Maybe some other things would have been different. I don't know. I don't think so. But to me, it was great. Had a lot of practical effects. But yeah, anyways. So the whole premise of the movie is Earth has found a way to basically break the hold of fossil fuels and other dirty power to further life on Earth. Because with current fuel and electricity means we do damage to our environment, to the ground soil, to the air, all that fun stuff. With this new power source, we don't need that fossil fuel. We don't need those other ones. And they found a way to power 73, I think they said 73% of Earth's power comes from helium-3 mined from the moon. Helium-3 is developed when the moon rocks or minerals on the moon absorb the radiation from the sun, our sun, and it can be converted into helium-3, which then can be used to make energy. Pretty easy to understand. So, Sam Bell is a, we'll say, technician. But I don't know. Is it technician technically? I guess is what he is. Who's on a 3-year contract to mine helium-3, or basically not even him mining it, him running the operation, making sure that the automated mining stuff is running. And then when the tank fills up, he places 4 of them. Once 4 are mounted or filled up, he launches a rocket that goes back to Earth, and will then be converted into electricity on Earth. It's not stated the science behind it, so I don't know how much power those 4 full containers will do and how many he actually goes through, but that's not really the basis of the movie. So, during this time frame, this 3 years, he's essentially alone on this space station, or on this moon station, with the only companion he has is Gertie, who probably stands for something. but it's an artificial intelligence robot, very similar to Hal from Space Odyssey, 2001: A Space Odyssey, but not evil, I guess you could say. Anyhow, so Sam, long story short, not going to go over all the plot points, breaking down. Basically, Sam is 3 weeks from his return to Earth after basically 3 weeks left of his 3-year contract to be on this, and he's basically going to wait for his transport off. New technician shows up. Sam gets to go home to his wife and child. And then the next 3-year contract is someone else. But something starts to happen. Sam starts to have hallucinations, and he sees a young lady sitting in a chair that he was just in, and he burns his hand. Gertie says, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Nothing. I saw something on TV that distracted me. I burnt my hand with hot water." So then, on a routine run out to see what's going on with one of the harvesters, he sees this same girl, but on the surface of the moon, gets distracted, crashes into the side of the harvester, wrecking it, hitting his head real bad, knocking him out, and then he wakes up on the infirmary bed being tended to by Gertie. Gertie tells him there was an accident, he hit his head real bad, and he needs to rest. Well, Sam starts to feel weary about things because he overhears a live transmission between Gertie and the headquarters with Lunar Industries, but he's been told that the live communication antenna has been damaged and they haven't been able to fix it, so there shouldn't be any. So he's wondering what's going on, and Gertie says, "No, that was just a recording. I was making a recording for them." And he gets suspicious. So he basically manufactures a fake problem, persuade Gertie to let him outside. When he gets outside, he then basically takes the one of the other rovers, goes to the crashed rover and finds the unconscious body in there. Seeing that it's him, he kind of freaks out. When he gets back, he says, "Gertie, what's going on? Who is this?" Gertie's like, "Let's get him to the infirmary." And then Gertie tends to the unconscious Sam, who is not in good shape. When he wakes up, he sees, of course, he's groggy because he was in a wreck and he doesn't know how long he's been out. A week. And when he looks over, he sees the other Sam standing there and is very confused. Gertie puts him under again. He says, "You need to sleep. You're tired." He goes to sleep. I'm guessing he puts him under, so like a injection or something. When he wakes up, he confronts the other Sam. The other Sam says, "Hey, you're a clone." He's like, "No, I'm the original." He's like, "No, I'm afraid that we are not the original." And you can clearly see something's going wrong with old Sam. He's paler. His wound doesn't seem to be healing very well. It's not clotting. His hurt leg from the crash, and his body's kind of stiff. He can't really. His mobility's kind of limited. And so they start to basically form a plan to. Okay, I'm back. Sorry, a momentary delay. I totally forgot where I was at in that. But the other Sam wakes up. They start asking questions. They go from there. A new Sam has this theory there's a hidden room somewhere that has clones in it. He wants to prove it to old Sam. Old Sam's like, "You're fucking crazy." They get in a fight. Old Sam gets injured very easily, and new Sam's like, "Oh shit, what's going on here?" And then old Sam is kind of freaking out, and Gertie tells him, "Hey, I just want you to know you're a clone, and I thought you were dead, so I needed another clone to keep going. So they then kind of team up to figure out what's going on. They find out that live transmission isn't down, it's being jammed, and there's an antenna stopping live transmission from going on. And when old Sam or new Sam comes with a plan to, well, he figures that rescue, air quotes, rescue is coming to get them, and he knows that bad things are going to happen. Old Sam wants to investigate. He goes, tries to get in the computer system, but his password doesn't work, and then Gertie gives him a password that works, and he keeps looking at logs that are basically 3 years apart, and he sees a dying Sam recording messages, wondering what's going on, getting ready to be rescued, and so on and so forth. So he puts kind of 2 and 2 together and gets 4, and realizes maybe this isn't right. Maybe new Sam might be onto something. And he looks at video of the cryo chamber, and it doesn't look like it's a cryo chamber at all. It looks like someone's being burnt alive in there, incinerated, and then cleaned up. So he goes down to the cryopod and sees that there's a little nozzle that has what looks to be dust coming out of it and piling up below it, and he realizes what it is. Then he opens up a hatch that leads to a very large chamber where him and new Sam go, and see that there's tons of food stacked up, food trays stacked up down there, and on the other wall in this giant corridor that just has endless length. They open one of the things up, and there's a clone of Sam with all of that same clothes and stuff packaged for him, waiting for him to be woken up and basically started over. And so they basically hatch a plan to. Okay, more technical difficulties. Anyways, so they then hatch this plan to figure out what's going on, or to basically try to escape. New Sam thinks he can put old Sam into the rocket pod with enough food and oxygen to basically make his way back to Earth and see his daughter. Well, I forgot the old part. So old Sam drives one of the rovers past the antennas, gets a live feed out with the computer, and calls his house. A young lady picks up. He covers the camera before she can see him, and he finds out that Ellie is dead, and that this is Tess is dead, and this is Eve, his 15-year-old daughter. And when he says, "Are you sure that she's dead?" She calls for her father, and then you hear Sam Rockwell's voice coming from off screen saying, "What is it?" And then she says, "Someone's asking about mother." And then he hangs up, realizing that is original Sam, and he's just a clone. Again, confirming what they already know. When he goes back, he then tells new Sam. New Sam watches the recording, and that's when he's gonna put him in the rocket, send him back. And then old Sam realizes he's dying and his legs aren't working, so he tells new Sam that why don't they, with this new clone they woke up, why don't, instead of putting him into the wrecked rover to be discovered, he can put him who's dying already back in the rover. He can be posed as the body, which he probably is going to be anyways. And then new Sam can get in the rocket and go home to see their daughter. Great. All's well and good with that plan. But Gertie still has a recording of everything that's going on. So then Gertie says, "Hey, this isn't going to work unless you wipe my memory. If you reboot me, when I reboot, I come back up, I will just go right back into my programming, which is waking up the new clone, telling him the backstory, convincing him that's what's happening, and then you can be on your way and no one will know. Because otherwise they'll know that what your plan is, and they will somehow stop you because they have means of doing that." So new Sam follows his plan. He puts old Sam in the wrecked rover, goes back before the new clone wakes up. He starts he's basically packing up a bunch of stuff, including some helium-3, oxygen, food, things like that, into the rocket with his spacesuit on. He's going to get in there and he's going to essentially rocket home. And he has this feeling that, or this thought that he's like, I need to do something. So then he goes and reprograms one of the rovers to wreck into the antenna that's going to stop the live broadcasting from going through. And then as his rocket takes off, old Sam gets to see the launch before he dies. He's discovered by the rescue team, air quotes, who have guns, by the way. Then you cut to inside the base where Gertie is waking up the clone of Sam, telling him exactly telling him the story, which is there was on his way to the habitat on the moon. There was a malfunction of the rocket. It crashed. He might have brain damage and might not remember things. So he's going to tell him what's going on, starting fresh over for a 3-year contract or a 3-year cycle, technically. And then so they're going to essentially dispose of the old Sam's body while the new clone is reacclimated to being, on the moon for 3 years by himself. And then the second Sam is going to Earth, and then it cuts to him. As the credits start going, you hear news articles or news stories going through where this clone of Sam Bell has been telling the truth of what Lunar Industries has been doing and basically causing a ruckus, and there's a huge controversy, and the company's unethical practices have then caused the stock to plummet, essentially giving you a happy ending. But we also don't know if the original Sam is part of it, or was he unknown to be part of it? Like, what was the whole thing? Because there's these messages that Tess was leaving him. It's really hard to understand. Like, not hard to understand. It's just there's just a lot of unanswered questions that I don't actually care about too much. You just kind of know what's going on. And it's kind of a fucked up but happy story as well. But yeah, that's Moon. Sorry about the interruptions. Some stuff going down, but whatever. But yeah, if you get a chance, watch it. It's a fantastic movie. It's real fun. Sam Rockwell is fantastic as both the old Sam and new Sam, and really good voice work as original Sam. But whatever. Very, very well done. Camera tricks to make the two Sams be able to interact with each other in the same scene, and things like that. And then, yeah, that's it for Moon, everybody. But anyways, yeah, that's it. Tune in next week when I talk about High Life, and yeah, that's it for this week's episode, everybody. Again, I'm Cody. This has been the Awesome Cody, and we're talking about awesome space movies. And like I always say at the end of these, let's be awesome.